So I talked to myself, I sat myself down and I went like, Franco, it's okay not to have, drama in your life. It's okay to be grateful and to enjoy life for what it is.
Hey guys, Brandon here. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Expat Life Ecuador. Today's guest is longtime Vilcabamba restaurant, proprietor, owner, and head chef of Vilcabamba's very own Mamma Silvia Italian restaurant, and my friend, Franco Magrini. Franco, welcome to the show.
How are you doing, Baba?
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, and let's start and give information about this beautiful place where we live.
Awesome, awesome. So Franco, I know a little bit about your history because you've shared it with me, but why don't you start with, you're not originally from Vilcabamba, is that right?
No.
You're not Ecuadorian?
No, I don't look like one.
No, so where are you from originally? Why don't you start with where you're from and lead us on the story of how you ended up in Vilcabamba?
So, well, I actually was born in Argentina.
Oh, no kidding.
My father and my mother emigrated to Argentina in 1949.
Okay.
And I was born in 1958, but in 1960, my parents took the whole family and went back to our hometown, Florence. That's why when people ask me, are you Italian? I go like, I'm Florentine. Yeah, Italy, it's another subject. But I'm 67 years old, and I've been in Italy 24 years. Then I've been in the States 20 years, and traveling around the world another 3-4 years. And South America, I got like 15 years here in Ecuador, 5 years in Colombia, and then the other is divided between Brazil, Uruguay, and the Caribbean.
Wow, so you've been all over the world.
There is, it's not a joke, it's the truth. People goes like, oh, Franco, don't you miss Italy? First of all, I don't like to fly anymore, because I flew all my life back and forth. But I travel so much, and I have like 2-3 employees that are really young. They're ending their high school now. Mm-hmm. And I keep telling them, if you can, and a couple of them can because they have relatives who live in Europe and in the States, go abroad, find a job, work, and figure it out which career you want to take.
Yeah.
Because when you're 18, you really don't know what you want in life. But yeah, and I'm here in Vilcabamba, and so we go back to Florence. I grew up in Florence, and another, especially American, go, Franco, you left Florence. Why? And well, the reason I left the 25th of April 1994, and I never went back to Europe or Italy.
Really? Never been back to visit?
No, I saw it coming. I most probably, as many of us in Vilcabamba that would call us, conspiracy people, I saw it coming. It's called the Planck allergy. It was written by a Masonry guy in 1937, and that's basically the destruction of European culture identity through the immigration from Africa, Middle East, and Asia. And actually, I saw it. I didn't know back then. It was more of a gut feeling of seeing these hordes of people coming into my beautiful town.
Oh, even in the 90s you were seeing?
In the 90s, we had the first wave from Africa. And the Balkans, remember? The Balkan War?
Yeah.
Belgrade, and and so we start having that from Albania, from Kosovo, from Serbia, from Croatia. and all the northern African countries, Central African country, and I had this gut feeling something is wrong. And I already lived in the States, and still in the 90s, you could go back to the States. Hopefully, America is gonna go back to what it was. And if you work hard, you will make really good money. So I went back to live in the States.
Where at in the States did you move to?
Oh, first time was 1988 to 1990. Was my first restaurant in New York. I live, basically, New York, I live in Manhattan for 2 years. I didn't get out of Manhattan.
Yeah.
It was good times. Then when I went back in 1994, I spent 12 years in Sarasota, Florida.
Okay.
And then for life circumstances, I moved to Alaska, where I spent 7 years.
So New York, Manhattan,
Yeah.
to Sarasota, Florida,
Yeah.
to where at in Alaska?
Palmer.
Palmer.
Palmer and Wasilla.
So that couldn't be three different locations. Like how different are those places? Like how did you end up from New York to Florida to Alaska particularly? Like what inspired you to go to those particular places?
You cannot handle the truth. The truth is, I moved back to the States because 1934, I was 36.
Okay.
And I travel extensively, and one of the reasons I don't have kids, I'm not married, I was a party animal. Highlight, I was, because I'm not anymore.
I saw some photos, just to interject really quick. I saw some photos that somebody either posted on Facebook from you from like the 80s or 70s. You were a strapping young Italian man back in your day, huh?
Well, I used to work as a model, and and it's funny because I did that in Colombia especially.
No kidding.
And I was blonde, blue eyes.
Yeah.
People would think that I was American or something, and I would shoot a commercial, and then with the money, I would just go around for 6 months, and then when the money were finished, I would shoot another commercial and travel for another 6 months.
Interesting.
So, having had the experience in New York, in 1994 in Italy, for the reason I just explained, I saw this invasion of my beloved Florence. I moved to Florida. Originally, I was supposed to move to New York, but my girlfriend that I was supposed to marry, we had the last dinner at my parents' house, and my father was just being diagnosed with senile leukemia. And the doctor told him that the tropical weather would help him live longer.
Okay.
And my girlfriend, the big mouth of my girlfriend, said, she was from Grosse Pointe, Michigan. She went like, we have a winter estate in Boca Grande in Florida. I remember that night I closed the door, I said, you just put an end to our relationship. And she went like, why? Because one thing is having my mother with an ocean apart. One thing is having an Italian mother-in-law living 2 blocks from you. She's gonna destroy our relationship. And so and that's why we went to Florida.
Okay.
So I'm in Sarasota, I'm a consultant, I'm helping people opening places, restaurants, but because I was a moody person and I would get bored like after a year and a half, so I would move on the next project. Then my father dies in 2002. Basically, for 4 years, I was my mother's son, best friend, husband, lover, father, brother. And finally, in 2006, my mother decided, she was 82, and she said, no, I'm going to die on the shore of the Arno in my hometown, Florence. And my cousins went like, yeah, we'll take care of her, just she can come back. So she went back, and the truth is, in the meantime, I met this Alaskan woman. There is a stereotype about Alaskan women. This one was completely the opposite. Was gorgeous, beautiful, and I went and visited Alaska in March of 2006, and I fell in love with the place. It was a strange thing. I felt home for the first time in my life.
In Alaska?
In Alaska.
No kidding. Interesting.
And the funny thing is, like, Alaska had an impact on me because I was kind of confused in my political view. I was more of, like a liberal. Funny thing, I was vegetarian,
Oh, no. In Alaska, vegetarian?
In Florida.
In Florida.
I arrived in Alaska, this kind of new age person. You had to be in touch with the female side, that crap. I arrived in Alaska. I remember first visit with the doctor. He looks at me and he goes like, I was like, skinny, and he went like, you better put up some weight because you're not gonna go through a winter here.
Wow.
And then eventually, since the first summer, I started working in a place called Evangelo. I've been consulting with the owner. And the crew there, they start, salmon season come and you're going fishing. So I start going fishing, then I'm going to start hunting mooses and whatever. Not me shooting, I'm the worst. We would go like to the, how you call it, the shooting range. And I'm somebody that, with the rifle in my hand, go around, hey guys, how you doing? And everybody on the floor. Right. I was like the joke of my kitchen crew. And what I fell in love basically for, people don't realize how big Alaska is.
It's way bigger than Ecuador. It's much bigger than Ecuador, that's for sure.
I kind of calculate is Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru together.
Wow.
750,000 people. Still 750,000 people. Population doesn't grow that much there. And that's another twin deer of my New Age friend. Here people goes like, oh, Mother Nature. Oh, I so feel Mother Nature. I go like, you don't know what Mother Nature is. And they go like, why? Go to Alaska. And how is Mother Nature in Alaska? You can beep and edit these out. It's motherfucking nature.
Right.
I mean, it's right in your face.
Right. Yeah, it's robust there. Huh?
Like the first winter, I spent 2 hours under my car because a moose mother with 2 siblings came in my parking lot, and I had nowhere else to go but under my car because usually a moose, when have calves, first she kills you and then deal with you.
Oh.
Yeah, they're very protective.
Wow.
There have been several cases of tourists that, go near mooses, female with calves, and they get killed.
Right, like Alaska, people not realizing how big it is. The same with moose, huh? Moose are gigantic animals.
Yeah, or bears, majestic. When they come out of hibernation and, they're campers, for them, they're just sushi. Right. Then at the end of the season, they already ate salmon and berries, they don't care.
Yeah.
But, and Alaska transformed me completely.
Interesting.
It was like 180 degrees, and now people ask me about my political view or spiritual view. By the way, I've been practicing Buddhism on a daily basis, mantras, for 37 years now.
Wow.
And of all places, I started practicing Buddhism in New York.
Huh.
That's I found that really interesting.
Yeah.
And for me, it makes perfect sense because Buddhism is not a religion, it's more a training on the mind. Mm-hmm. And, of all places, New York, it doesn't get more, more materialistic.
Sure.
Than a place than New York, but at the same time, New York is a very spiritual place.
Right, spiritual culture. There's
believe it or not.
So it's interesting to me that you have these unique experiences traveling younger, born in Italy, born in Argentina, then moved back to Italy, then New York, Florida, and then Alaska. And Alaska, of all the places you've traveled, Alaska, you had that feeling. You had that, I feel home for the first time, right? So that's a feeling. That's not a,
You cannot explain it.
You can't explain it, right? So it's a feeling. It's more intuition. You intuit it, and you said it transformed you. So that's interesting to me because for me and my family, that's what we felt about Ecuador, right? So we've traveled some, but we felt that when we came here, we had this whole trip planned of touring the coast, and I thought I wanted to live on the beach and this pipe dream of that, and then you realize, I don't like that lifestyle, and we came here. And it was just that feeling, like for us, this felt right. It felt, maybe at the time didn't feel transformational, but it felt like, wow, I felt called here, right? So it sounds like that was Alaska for the first time for you. So talk a little bit about having that feeling in Alaska and then being there and then experiencing Mother Nature in a different way, right? You're seeing the double-edged sword of Mother Nature, the nice and the grace of her, and then the winters and the harshness and the reality of sustaining life in a place like that. So talk a little bit about that, and then from Alaska, what changed to make it like, hey, I feel like I'm home, to like I'm ready for the next chapter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those is life circumstances and being, I call myself Florentine, but I'm Latin. So in Latin culture, there's one thing: the rules is mother. But going back to Alaska, so I arrived in Alaska, and as I said, I was vegetarian, kind of new agey. And not that Alaska is a really spiritual place because of as you mentioned before, the presence of Mother Nature. Mother Nature is now something abstract that, you live in the North Hemisphere, you live in a town and you're watching National Geographic and you go like, oh, how beautiful it is. In Alaska, it's right in your face. When you think that the biggest town of Alaska, Anchorage, to this day, change of the season, you have mooses, you have bears walking in a 300,000 inhabitant town, and they're all over the place.
Right. That's like Loha. That'd be like walking in Loha.
Walking in Loha, and you go drop your garbage, and there is a bear going through your garbage, and
wow.
And that is. You had to be there, and I highly suggest to everybody once in your lifetime, not in a dead month of winter, because November, the north wind comes in, the southern wind's the north wind comes in, and all the beautiful snow that has been falling down in October and early November is wiped out.
Okay.
So December, January, and February, it's a barren, black,
brown, black,
icy place. Then March and April, the snow comes again and is absolutely gorgeous.
Cool.
And the people of Alaska, it's, I always dreamt about America, the pioneer spirit.
Yeah.
And in Alaska, it's still alive because of the harsh condition, and I have a really nice little story. So I change, I become, I call myself an Alaskan Buddhist redneck. It doesn't make sense to me, big Second Amendment supporter. And I live in a little house outside of town. My neighbor was a liberal Democrat, and we just would go like, like in Seinfeld, Newman and Seinfeld, that we go like, hello, Newman, hello, Jerry. Right. We would go to say, good morning, good morning. Newman. So one day I'm watching TV, a soccer game from Europe, and I don't realize that my furnace stopped functioning. I had a knock on the door, and it's the hated Democrat neighbor with a toolbox, And you go like, I know you're a chef, I really like your food, but I know you don't have any idea. You're not a handyman, but you have a problem. Your furnace is out, so let me check it for you. And he checked it, he fixed it, and then when like it's fixed, I said, do I owe you anything? No, it's just that's how we are in Alaska. We take care of each other. Awesome. But he looked at me and said, that does not mean that we're friends now. And I loved it because it's like that's the true spirit. You don't have to be alike in a community to help each other.
Right.
And that's the greatest thing about Alaska, that when people need each other, no matter if they like each other, they dislike each other, they're there for each other.
Right. That's real community.
Yeah, that's real spirit of community. And it's, and that says, you know, my kitchen crew in Alaska, because I opened 3 restaurants, used to tell me, when I say, you know, it's the first time I feel at home, they look at me and say, that says everything about you, how crazy you are, because, you know, it's unheard of.
Sure.
So I'm in Alaska and I opened 3 restaurants, and then I dedicate myself for life circumstance, health circumstance. I have almost a heart attack, almost died, and while I opened the 3 restaurants in summertime, I'm always buying all the vegetables from all the organic farms in Alaska. And one of them knows of my health condition. It's May 2010. And they go like, Franco, it would be really therapeutic for you to take care of a bed of arugula, arugula. They have this amazing farm. So I start doing that, and then, the arugula has grown, and they go like, Franco, since you harvest it, you should do something with it. And, in our organic farmer market in Anchorage, we're looking for a chef that would cook our product. Why don't you start that? So I had this bed of arugula, and I really, what do I do? And I said, well, I'm going to make pesto. So I made, it was so funny because I had this 3 cooler packed with pesto. And so I went to the market and I said, hey, who knows? I bought some bread, put it on the table. And the market opened at 7:30. By 11:15, I sold $1,200 of pesto, was gone. And I went like, what the heck? So little by little, I start, basically I start buying all the products from these farmers, mixing. I start doing raviolis. I had 6 different kind of kimchi. You've been in my restaurant, I'm a Nazi. I'm the soup Nazi. I have like 11 soups. And I start doing all this product. By July 2010, I had 10 employees just to sell the stuff. I went from 1 little table and 3 little coolers. I had like 320-liter coolers, another 490-liter cooler, a camp kitchen. And in the morning, I would go around the market, take ingredients for all of them, and I would do this vegetable soup. For the market. I would feed all the farmers, and then we would sell it. And life was gorgeous, because by the end of the season, I found myself, and then I forgot, I had a friend that worked in the agriculture department of Alaska, and she sees what I'm doing, and she gave me a grant, federal grant, so I can start really improving the business. And by October, I had the money to leave, to reinvest. And so I started thinking, I was born in Argentina. I can live wintertime in Argentina and then come back and work from March to November. in Alaska. I know that at the same time, I have two brothers. One lives in Colombia, one lives in Ecuador. My mother in Italy. My mother decided that she want to be close to my brothers. And so she decides to move to Ecuador. I already took care of my mother for 12 years in Florida. So she called me in Alaska, I'm in Alaska, so I fly to Florida because that's where I spend my blue-collar vacation, because I had a friend who was an executive chef that would give me work in the morning, so I would work from 6 to 2 in the morning, and then go to one of the most beautiful beaches that there are in the States, Siesta Beach in Sarasota. So I was really having a nice holiday. My mother calls me, and they're living in Manta, of all places. With all due respect to Manta, check Siesta Beach and then check your beach in Manta, and then you understand.
Yeah.
And so I come there in winter 2010. I see the place, and my mother goes back to Italy to pack everything. I go back to Alaska. I do my gig in 2011. In 2011, they move to Alaska.
To Ecuador.
To Ecuador.
Yeah.
My mother and my two brothers supposedly taking care of them, and I told them, taking care of an elder is not an easy job. I did it for 12 years. So to make a long story short, and to avoid any, bad energy, basically I came down here. My mother started calling me. There is a difference between me and my brother. My brother was raised by my biological father. Then my mother divorced and married my father. That is the crest you see in the restaurant, the one with the moors.
Yeah.
He's Dutch. My brother are kind of hippish. As you can see, I'm not hippie at all. I'm a how you say it, an Alaskan redneck Buddhist guy, blue collar. I believe in that. I'm really grateful to America, because I learned the restaurant business in America, and I firmly believe you work, you earn, and you live. Nothing is given away. Nothing should be given away. But whatever. So my mother started calling me, and she's having problem with the AP side of the family. Please, Franco, come. They don't respect me. They do this. They do that. And so I drop everything. She's in such depression. My mother that tried to kill herself. So by June 2012, my mother is back on her feet. But if you do not own anything in the state, you can have a green card, but after 6 months you lose all your rights to residency in the state. So I'm here already. And so I start thinking, okay, Manta is not the place, it's too hot. That's how I get to Vilcabamba. So I do a little marketing research, and I went like Cuenca.
Right.
There is an expat community that fluctuates in between 7,500 to 12,000 people all year round. The way I cook, I already succeed in the States, so I know that with such a huge expat community, whatever I'm gonna open, I'm gonna be fine. So we go to Cuenca, but Cuenca is too high for my mother. She lives with an oxygen tank, it's too cold. Friend from Alaska, I'm having a video call with this friend from Florida. Her name is Cynthia O'Donnell. I'm having a Zoom call with her, and she says me, Franco, there is the Valley of Longevity. I say, what the fuck is that? And she goes like, it's a place where it's eternal spring, and I think it would be perfect for your mother. My mother in 2011, the doctor gave her like 3 years of life. That's why she decided to reunite all the brothers and stuff. Okay. So from Cuenca, it's end of April 2012. I come here and I'm already blown away because from Loja to Vilcabamba, there is bougainville everywhere, rainbows everywhere. I go like, what the heck is this place? I get to Vilcabamba and I'm staying at Ishkaluma. That still for me is the best place. If you land in Vilcabamba, I highly suggest you land in Ishkaluma.
Ishkaluma is great. Yeah, that's where we host all the retreats.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's just, it's the best approach to Vilcabamba. And I come down. The funny part, when I was in Florida, this person, no, I was in Cuenca already, and I go Vilcabamba, and the place where I lived 9 years was the first place that it came up in my Google research for a place to rent. It's called the Yellow House, Bruce and Janice.
Wow.
And so I come, I see, and the first place I go see is Bruce and Janice's place, and then I see many other places, but then I ended. So 5th of May 2012, I land with my mother, my brothers, and the whole family here in Vilcabamba.
Wow.
And that's where Mamma Silvia's story began. So we started looking for a place, and where now is Buddha Fusion Restaurant, was the first Mamma Silvia restaurant.
Oh, interesting.
And so the whole family and we all work together, but as I explained before, there's some cultural huge difference in between me and my brothers, and Italian love drama, sopranos and stuff, just look at it. And we finished, I just get out of the restaurant 6 months later because I'm the chef. They close, and I keep taking care of my mother. But the reason why I came to Vilcabamba is because of my mother. And to make people understand the health benefit of our valley, I give 2 examples. If you remember correctly, I say my mother, they gave her 3 years in 2011. She passed away in 2021.
Wow. Wow.
Me, I got here in 2012. I had kidney problem, liver problem, prostate problem, mental problem. I still had them. I was 54, but I was kind of a wreck.
Yeah.
13 years later, I'm healthy as I was when I was 18.
Look at you, look good, man. You look good. Yeah.
I'm 67 and I sleep great, and my liver is perfect, my kidney perfect. The prostate, I'll let you imagine. I'm a horny stud. And it's amazing.
Right.
And I'm not somebody that I follow, a specific diet. On contrary, my diet is a Mediterranean diet. It's the food I serve in my restaurant. But it's the water. I drink 2 quarts of coffee a day. Is the water in the coffee, because this glass that you see here most probably is going to be here by the end of the interview. I'm really bad at drinking water. It's the eternal spring? Yes, it could be, because another funny part, my mother passed away.
Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Taking this quick break to remind you, we run Vilcabamba lifestyle retreats. If you're interested in checking out this area, hanging out with us, getting all the information you could possibly want, and having a great time, check out the links below. Thanks so much. Back to the program.
So all my Alaskan friends, okay, we've already hired a lawyer. I'm giving you a car. I'm giving you a house to stay. I'm giving you a part-time job. $3 a month, it's okay, 6 hours a day. Yeah. So I have everything to go back to Alaska. And my heart is going like, because I didn't come to Ecuador, and that's a really good point. I didn't run away from anything.
Right.
I mean, I ran away from Europe when I went live in the States.
Right.
And if you ask me, I would have been gladly facing the last 4 years of nightmare that we had in the States, because I consider myself a WAP.
Right.
Because I lived 22 years there. You know, if you ask me, I consider myself an Italo-American. I really relate to the Italian community in the States. And this is a really funny part, because it comes with my spiritual life. You know, they say that we have to listen to our body. We have to learn to listen to our body, you know. So I'm there doing my mantras. Okay, everything is set. I'm going back to Alaska, you know. But my heart at the same time already had the restaurant. I have my cat, Biba. But the funny part, I'm going like, okay, you know, somebody offered me, one of my girls said, I'm taking the cat. The restaurant is no problem, because I train everybody. They can keep going by themselves, and I'm there chanting my mantras, and all of a sudden I heard this voice that says, I don't know how you're going to go to Alaska, because I'm not coming. That was my body.
Wow, interesting.
Because let's face it, after 9 years of living in this weather, my body went like, I'm not going back
To Alaska.
to Alaska. You can, your heart, your mind, oh, I miss my people in Alaska. But the body went like, I'm not going, you know, I'm staying. And then also I never been so, and I recognize that, you know, Vilcabamba is a really special place. We have amazing spiritual people, and at the same time, sorry if I go against the grain, but we have also a whole bunch of fake shaman, and, you know, a part of our community that I really despise, because you don't play with people's hopes and mental problems, and we have people that really fed on that in this place. But we have amazing healers, amazing practitioners, qigong, tantra teachers. You know, Annabella. Yeah. Annabella is her name. I think she's amazing.
Yeah, Quinta Linda.
Quinta Linda, amazing. Man. She's one of my best customers as well. But you know, Quinta Linda is an amazing place if you want to heal.
Yeah, beautiful.
You know,
place.
that the woman know what she's doing.
Yeah, Arabella. Yeah, if you guys are watching this, check the link below. We'll put a link to Arabella's.
Arabella is amazing. It's one of, you know, those that I really appreciate. And there are others that amazing, you know, people. Casa del Sol, Santiago and Jimena as well. They're amazing. And then, you know, and everywhere we have the dark side and the bright side.
You get the yin and the yang.
Yin and the yang. But, you know, for me, after 37 years of Buddhist practice, coming here, and I took care of my mother for 21 years, and now I have 8 employees. No, 11. 2 of them I'm going to lose them because they finish high school, and one of them is going to stay with me because he shows really, he has a gift for kitchen, and of course I have him start washing dishes. Now I start.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy here. You know, it's Ecuador. It's an amazing place, and now I would like to go on what Ecuador has been, and what Ecuador is, and what Ecuador is going to become.
Sure.
So if we can cut it here, so I smoke a cigarette and we take a break.
Yeah, so this is good. And
by the way, tobacco improves testosterone. That's why there is this huge fight to testosterone and manhood. And they say, your tobacco is bad for you.
Yeah, nicotine.
I still don't need Viagra, baby, so it's not bad for you. Yeah, nicotine, that discovery keep cancer and everything.
Yeah, that's great,
It makes sense now, the huge, you know, war on tobacco because
Right,
actually
right.
nicotine is good for you, or
Yeah.
caffeine is really good for your kidneys.
Yeah. No, I'm a coffee guy as well.
Yeah.
You know how you talked about it tells a lot about it. It speaks to your character, right? So you felt called, you felt home in Alaska for the first
Yeah.
time, right? Then you left Alaska not for you. You left Alaska for
my
family,
mother.
for your mother, right? Then you're here, and you know your body you had everything set up for you to go
Yeah.
back, right? Everything was ready to go back, but you listen, like you said, you listen to your body. So kind of talk about how like that transitioned in, as you talk about Ecuador, how if this is true, like you tell me, I'm just assuming it is because
Yeah.
you're still here.
Go there.
But how this has become home, because it seems like you feel like this is home now for
That's
you.
where I was going next.
Okay, yeah, that's what it seemed, right?
You know.
Okay, yeah, so that's a perfect transition, and then you
Yeah.
could talk about that, and then talk about what Ecuador, what you've seen change over the last 12, 13 years, and yeah, what you see happening going forward. Yeah, it'd be awesome. Yeah.
No, I'll give you the perspective from 1980.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Bio, that's the best
Right.
way.
No, that's actually even better. Yeah.
So I was saying before I come here, first time in 1980, and then I've been every 5, 6, and then, there was a window 10 years, I came and visit Ecuador again and again and again. Ecuador, well managed, has the potential of being like the Switzerland of South America, because it has everything.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about raw resources, oil, gold, copper, agriculture. There are places in Ecuador, the best roses that you buy in Europe and in the States come from Ecuador.
Come from here. Yeah.
The famous Dallas rose, $1,000 a piece, comes from Ecuador.
Yeah.
There are places in the north, in Babura, and okay, let's make another funny story. So I'm still smoking weed. It's 1980. I'm 22 years old, so I buy a whole bunch of weed, and I'm in Esperanza. That is, we have the Imbabura Volcan, the Laguna San Pablo, and behind you have Esperanza and the Valley of Cayambe. So I'm cleaning weed, and we don't know where to throw it. We have a little window, and we threw the seeds in the front of the house, in the yard in the front of the house. So la semilla de marihuana se van en el piso. And so we cleaned the whole weed. 3 weeks later, we're coming back from Ibarra, and there is a bush in front of the house. And we check, and it's like 300 marijuana plants.
Wow.
We didn't dig a hole.
No kidding.
If you're Ecuadorian, you know the most fertile place on earth is in Babura. They have 1.5 meters of humus.
Wow.
The dirt is black. That's why the roses, the strawberries, all the fruits now they have this high altitude coffee in Babura. Yeah, but it costs like $70 a pound.
Oh, wow.
It's hand picked.
Sure.
But Ecuador, not to mention the industry that I belong to, living in Vilcabamba, there is tourism. It's amazing. Ecuador is amazing. I mean, you literally drive 100 miles and you go through like 7 microclimates for every valley you find.
Right, every 10 minutes. Yeah.
You have,
climate.
the ocean, you have the Sierra, you have the Amazon.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's really, I think tourism could be the fourth industry behind oil, coffee, and shrimps.
Bananas, flowers.
And bananas, yeah. Like,
flowers,
but really close because, and then we go, to the history of Ecuador, the security. So when we came in 1980, it was one of the most peaceful places on earth. Crime was, I'm going to Guayaquil and gonna steal my wallet.
Wow. Right.
Basically, that was, Oh yeah, there is crime
Right,
in the
right.
coastal. Yeah, but that was so. Of course, there is the 80s and the 90s. Colombia is our next door neighbor. You know, we have the Escobar, we have the Cali cartel, we have all the wars, we have all the guerrilla that comes to the border of Ecuador.
Yeah.
Then we have one of my favorite presidents, Febres Cordero, that comes and just shoot everybody and put the country back on track. Then we reach the last 2007, Korea comes to power. Korea comes to power, and in order to, no, in order, basically, we he stayed in power 14 years, something like that. No, 10 years. And there is the heavy duty situation that we, you know, televise, everybody knows about the crime problems and the unsafety of Ecuador. But the actual government now is really taking action. I firmly believe within 2 years we going to be a really safe place to visit. And to specify, Vilcabamba is a little paradise. It is true there is unsafety in other regions of the country, but because this government is actually doing what it's supposed to do.
Right, right. And even the crime, a lot of the increase in crime, at least based on the statistics, you know, I don't live there,
Yeah.
so, but based on the statistics in the coastal port, in the port cities, in Manta,
No,
and
I'm
Guayaquil.
glad you. Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's
the crime, what you heard in the news, is basically the gangs are fighting each other. 90% of the death that you seen in the news is actually gang fighting each other because the government is pushing them, taking away their resources, so there is an infighting going on. But I firmly believe within 24 months, let's look at one of my heroes, and people go like, oh, Bukele is your hero. Yes, Bukele is my hero. And that's another funny thing, how Alaska changed me in a way, be who you are, you know. And of course, I'm not a liberal person. I believe in, you know, in the old American dream. You work, you earn, and you get what you're worth. And there's be, you know, I believe in small government, but I believe in a hard hand toward crime. And that's what Bukele did. It took him 6 years, but he went from the most unsafe country in the Western Hemisphere to the safest
Sure.
country in the Americas, in the Western Hemisphere. And what happened in Argentina, there is a shift in the planet. And then we go like, you know, if you hear the New Age people, we're going through the fifth dimension, and I hope so. I really hope so. I'm a really three-dimension guy, and this place is going to be one of the safest and one of the busiest country in South America.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really have a really positive gut feeling. Usually I'm not wrong, and tourism is going to increase. So if you want to invest in Ecuador, now is the time of doing it, because between 24 months I can see real estate prices doubling up, because it's really going to become like a heaven, for especially for people who retired,
yeah.
professional. You know, you don't beat this climate. You don't beat this climate. But
Right.
going back, for my reason to stay here now, of course, my body said, you know, I'm not coming to Alaska, and the other part is kind of a social mission as, you know, and I always say you judge people for what they do. I'm rough on the edges, but I'm somebody who took care of his mother for 21 years, and that's like, let's start from there.
Well, right. Well, that,
About the person I am. I'm loyal, honest, dedicated, and I have. I'm arrogant, pretentious, and deal with it. But I really have a big heart. So my reason now, and it's literally last week, or 3 weeks ago, since the beginning of January, I've been having problems sleeping. Then, through my meditation, prayers, by the way, I'm a Christian who practices Buddhism. You know, I love Jesus, I love Mary. I don't call her virgin because there's no way she was a virgin when she had Jesus. You know, I'm a peculiar Christian, but so I'm not sleeping for 3 months and a half. Peel treatments, acupuncture, hammer in the head, whatever, nothing works. So 3 weeks ago, I'm doing my morning prayer, and all of a sudden, I'm grateful. I have a business. I'm paying my loans. I'm healthy. You know, I have good friends, few. You're gonna learn in life, few and good. My family is basically my kitchen crew, the people that works with me. And by the way, next month they all gonna become part owners.
awesome.
So if something happened to me, but I don't think so, because I think I'm gonna live until I have another 60 years life, 137.
Woo!
Because we believe in the value of longevity. But I realized that being Italian, and you see Italian opera, Italian culture, you know, Italian movies, you see, you know, The Godfather and all of that. We had drama. Always we had drama.
Right.
So I'm chanting, I go like, I don't have drama anymore in my life. That's why I'm not sleeping. So I talked to myself, I sat myself down, and I went like, Franco, it's okay not to have, you know, drama in your life.
Right.
It's okay to be grateful and to enjoy life for what it is. And I start sleeping again. No pills,
Wow.
nothing.
Nice.
One day for another.
Oh, beautiful.
So my reason of staying here is I'm really grateful to this town. They were awesome with my mother. Literally. I was, you know, my mother would walk out and I would just go at the little tienda and she would go like, she's at the hairdresser Wilma. I would go to hairdresser Wilma and she would go like, she's at Carmita, the hardware store. I would go there, no, she's at the bakery at Aurelia. And I would go, Aurelia, no, they just walk her home. I always knew where my mother was,
that's
she
awesome.
would take care of, and it was amazing. So just, you know, the feeling to belong to the community, because, you know, we talk about the expat community, the Ecuadorian local community, 95% of them, because there are always bad seeds everywhere, but it's an amazing community.
Yeah.
The moment you start relating to them, and I suggest one thing that is a bug that I have. If you come to Ecuador, please learn Spanish. It's gonna help you a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But you know, it's like me, I live in the States. I mean, I'm lucky enough that when I was 14 already spoke 4 languages.
Wow.
The last one I learned it on the beaches of Rio de Janeiro. You can imagine how. But this community is amazing. I mean, the Ecuadorian are amazing people.
Yeah, I can attest to that too. Just with my family, you know, you were talking about your mom going around and,
Yeah.
and everybody in town knowing where she is.
Yeah.
That's how it is with my children. You know, I have a 14-year-old and an 8. Well, he just turned 9 yesterday. 9-year-old son, and I have taxi drivers, tienda owners. They know my kids by name. They know where they're at. They you know, hey, it's raining. Do you want me to go pick them up? Like, hey, they can stay here at the tienda, or they
Yeah.
can come to the store. Like, it's super. It's like. It's real. Like, it's because they care. They don't have to do that.
No.
They don't have to to let me know. They don't have to take their time, but it's just they actually care about the community. They care about people here. And, you know, like the Spanish thing, you know, my son, we've been here for about 4 years now, and he speaks Spanish. I mean, he learned Spanish playing soccer, so he knows the, you know, the slang 8-year-old, 9-year-old boy Spanish. But my daughter's pretty fluent, and they both have Ecuadorian and gringo friends. But he had his 9-year, he turned 9 yesterday. We had a little party for him, and you know, we let him invite people. There wasn't a kid at my house. There was 13 or 14 kids at my house yesterday. Not a single one of them spoke English. Not a single one. He wanted. These are the kids that he relates to. These are the families. These are the. Not that he doesn't have English-speaking friends. He has close gringo friends, but it's just more to your point.
And that's a good point that you're making. Even if I don't have kids, it was intentional. But as you are with your family, you know, you come to my restaurant. I have other family that comes to my restaurant, and it's a great place to move. You know, it's not just a place for people my age or older. It is a great place because it's ingrained in the culture of Ecuadorian, the respect for the elderly. So you come into a place where, you know, you have whitish hair. I don't have white hair today because I put some gel, but my hair is this color, usually the white-gray. And they have ingrained in their culture the respect for the elderly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Vilcabamba is an amazing place if you have, you say, toddlers, if you have, you know, 9 years, a teenager, place to grow up.
They can be kids.
They can be kids,
Yeah.
you know, and then it all depends of your managing their social media input, but it's an amazing place for family.
Yeah.
You know, Vilcabamba is not just for the elderly. Of course, you know, the elderly are going to go, wow, I've been here 3 years, as I said, 13 years. I'm healthier now than I'm 67 of what I was at 54.
That's awesome. Really
So
cool.
it's amazing. So for me, staying here is like paying a debt of gratitude
Interesting.
to this community. Not to mention, I realized that I'm one, for us conspiracy theorists, this is one of the safest places on Earth.
Yeah.
You know, we're far away from every nuke that can explode in the northern hemisphere and all the situation. And the actual administration is going to take care of make this one of the safest places on Earth. And food-wise, you know, worst come to worst, there's plenty of chicken, tomato, aguacate, fruits, etc., etc. And we're not the. That's the funny part. Is Vilcabamba is not the fertile place in Ecuador.
Right.
And we have an abundance of water and food. You know, as I said, northern Ecuador is like amazing. I mean, it's like so. Food-wise, Ecuador is set. Raw material-wise, it's covered. So that's why I'm saying it's one of the safest and best places to retire. Or you have a family, you want to get away from Europe and United States, come to Ecuador. I mean, it's literally, and Vilcabamba, it's a heaven for kids. They're going to be in touch with nature. We have rivers, forests, and it is a really safe place. So me staying here is also, you know, it just happened this week that I realized I was talking to an Ecuadorian friend and go like, I had a life, but I had everything. I lived in New York, Miami, Paris, London, LA, Rome, Milan. I had the life that, you know, my co-workers, my girls always laugh about it because they say, you know, usually you heard a man at 60 that goes like, oh, I would like to do this because I didn't do it. Me, I'm completely the contrary. It's like I've done it all. And I survived it all because I was, you know, remember Steve Martin and Dan Aykroyd, the wild Saturday night guys? I was one of them. And now what is for me, it's building something more than a restaurant, and that's already you've been there. I'm the Italian restaurant dream. I have gelato, I have pizza, I have pasta, homemade pasta, breads. It's bringing to the next level of producing and being able to sell to other places and create more jobs, because that's the best thing you can do for a community in showing your gratitude is creating jobs.
Right. Yeah.
I believe a real revolutionary is an entrepreneur.
I agree. Yeah.
Entrepreneur looking from a social side, and as I tell my girls, you're so lucky because I don't want I don't want a beautiful car because I had a beautiful car. I don't want to be part of the jet set. And by the way, jet set life is really boring, but being part of the jet set, I don't have to. I travel everywhere. I don't need a beautiful younger woman because I had plenty of them. So I'm in a place in my life where I'm content, I'm grateful, and what can I do? I have to give back.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And it's giving back to people that my next project is this kid that I have that is 17. And next year is gonna finish high school, and I'm already taking steps. There is a culinary institute here to have him work for me, pay half of the tuition. He's gonna pay half because, as I said, I don't believe in giving things away. You had to earn your stuff. And then I'm gonna squeeze him because he has in his classes run from 8 to 12 in Loja. Then the moment I arrive here, I'm gonna feed him, and he's gonna work from 2 to 8 in the restaurant. So he's gonna have theory and practice on the same day.
That's great.
And that's my dream project. But it's a beautiful moment of my life. I live in a beautiful place, in a beautiful community. And as I said, what I learned in Alaska, you don't have to get along with everybody in your community. You had to be there when your community needs you.
Right. Yeah. No, that's super well said. And we feel the same way. Like, for we have the real estate company.
Yeah.
We have the foundation. People don't even know about that stuff, but we don't feel the need like to go around telling everybody. But every sale, maybe you don't even know this. Every sale that we make on real estate, a portion goes to the foundation, that stays in Vilcabamba, that helps with sponsoring youth sports and helping with disaster relief and you name it, like all that stuff. And then we have another percentage of every sale that goes to an employee fund for our that we reinvest or sit. Like nobody does that here. Like nobody does the stuff that you're doing with their businesses. But we feel inspired like to do that, to give back. My family's been welcomed here, and I feel grateful and blessed to be here and to be welcomed here. I'm getting goosebumps, dude.
But that's what, my other thing of making my coworker, that's how I call them, it's so funny because they call me the jefecito.
That's awesome.
The boss. And I say, no, I'm the facilitator, but I can see, because I've been an employee. And the step between being an employee and to an entrepreneur is just being more conscious. There are days that I miss the time that I was an employee.
Yeah, how about it, huh? Yeah.
I was like, fuck.
Ignorance is bliss sometimes.
Yeah. I was going home with my paycheck. I didn't have to worry about banks, suppliers, nothing. But it's for them to grow as human being and to, already like last week, I had to spend 5 days in Loja. They manage the whole place.
No, that's awesome.
And
every time my family's been in there, if you haven't happened to not be there, it's been a great experience, man.
And that's, I say I'm arrogant and pretentious, but I'm really good at training people. And that's my goal. You know, what I'm good at. I'm good at training people. I'm good at having new ideas. You know, I'm not going anywhere. And as I always joke about it, you know, people ask me, Franco, what is your goal of your restaurant? You say, I'm gonna have to pay a nurse sooner or later. So I have all my family. I know they're gonna take care of me because, as I said, it's ingrained in the culture of the Ecuadorian to take care of the elder and respect the elder. But it's an amazing place. I feel so blessed, and Brandon, because if you remember last year, you would talk to me and I would go like, Vilcabamba. I was not a happy camper.
Yeah.
But now I completely turn around, and and I can see the blessing that we have living here, and that's why, you know, through this media, I want to invite people to at least come and check.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
and
great.
it's an amazing place. And kudos to you and to your associate to do whatever you're doing. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Good for you guys.
It's you know, we feel similarly about this place where it's probably not for everybody. It may not be for most people, but you're not going to know unless you find out, unless you go check it out for yourself, unless you come here and you experience it and you give yourself enough time, especially if you're coming from, you know, Chicago or New York, or you're coming from you're a big city where you're so wound up and you're so like, you have all these stressors on your life and keeping up, and if you come here and you don't give yourself enough time to kind of breathe and relax a little bit first, to unwind, it's, you know, that can be challenging for people. So, you know, coming here for you know, a long weekend or a 7 days, like, it's almost a disservice to yourself to not, you know.
But that's why you know, now after more than 1 year, because every time you got a group of people, and the end of the seminar, you always come to my restaurant. And I can understand the amazing thing that you guys are doing, because your way of introducing people to the reality of Vilcabamba, it's amazing, because first of all, you already have all the connections, so you can show people that they're gonna land and be supported, and they're not gonna left, you know, oh yeah, you buy your piece of property,
Right.
bye-bye.
Right.
You know, and that's an amazing thing, because you know, there are actually realtors here, that I won't mention the name, that basically it's like, you buy the property and they go like, bye-bye,
Right.
and you're left alone. But yeah, it is an amazing place to retire, to have a family, or, you know, if you're somebody who work online, it's a perfect place to come, and eventually you're gonna put your roots here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Got lots of opportunity for that, for sure. Well, Franco, thank you very much for your time today. Thank you for sharing the origin story of Franco Magrini and how you're here.
It's how you said, you're the only one that knows.
Well,
there are like another 2 people that know the whole Argentinian story.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, because, you know, it's kind of a marketing thing, but now I realize, and that's in the other part, you know, I was born in this continent. So, like it or not, I have a relationship with Mother Earth.
That's
here.
right, baby. That's right. Yeah. No, okay. It really goes. It speaks a lot about, you know, your character, man, and it's really inspiring to hear your story, and, you know, how you listened, how you heard the call, you listened to the call, you felt at home, you had that feeling, you listened to your body, and then you adapted and you changed selflessly for other people, for your family first, and then to end up in a place like this, like, I'm getting goosebumps again, look.
Yeah.
To end up in a place like this that values elders and family, and it's familia first, and that is inherent in the culture. It's fitting that now this is where you are, right? Yeah. Because that's kind of who you've always been. Yeah. And now you're getting rewarded with that. So it's a really cool story. So thank you for sharing. And guys, if you've made it this far into the video, We're going to be doing a follow-up to this video where Franco's going to take us behind the scenes at Mamma Silvia's. We're going to check out the food, check out some of the dishes. I eat there a lot, so I know quite a few of the dishes there. My family all has their favorites, but he's going to show us a little bit how they prepare the food. We're going to meet some of the amazing teammates that work with Franco at the restaurant. So stay tuned for that. We'll show that to you guys coming soon. So we really hope to see you down here one day. Until then, we'll see you next time, guys.
Bye, guys.
Ciao, ciao. Hey guys, Brandon here. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Expat Life. See, I already screwed it up. See, we'll start over.
Okay.
Hey guys, Brandon here. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Expat Life Ecuador. Today I will be... All right, so see, we're going to do this again. Hey guys, Brandon here. Welcome back. These are going to go in the bloopers. Hey guys, Brandon here. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Expat Life Ecuador. Today's guest is longtime Vilcabamba restaurant. Longtime Vilcabamba restaurant. You got me nervous.
Restaurant owner.
No, resident. All right.
Resident, okay.
Hey guys, welcome back. Cut. All right.
Hey guys, we're here in Vilcabamba with the Abundant Living team. To learn more about our next retreat, click the link in the description down below. From
our family to yours, welcome to Vilcabamba.